traveling for months across the world isn't always as amazing as it might seem on Instagram. We're going to get real today. I'm going to share with you an update on what's been going on with us. The kids are here now visiting us in France. I'm also going to share with you how challenging being on time is while we're traveling, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to be very real with you about some of the negative sides of traveling for an extended period of time. I'm also going to give you just kind of an update on life, including a recent injury I sustained, as well as a struggle that I have with being on time, especially when we're traveling, and how I normally cope with it. Oh, and by the way, this is a Get Ready With Me edition, so if you happen to be watching here on YouTube, you're going to see me with no makeup on. We're going to go do the full transformation, like, ta-da! You're going to see the before and the after. And if you're listening on whatever podcast app you're listening to, thank you so much for double checking to make sure that you're subscribed wherever it is most convenient for you to take in the Chalene Show. I am just so happy that you're here. Let's get to it. All right, you ready for this? I'm going to put my makeup on. I think I'm going to do this as fast as I can. Not as fast as I can, but like pretty fast. And then while we talk, I'm just going to play, which is typically what I do. It's like I do my makeup kind of quick, and then I add layers and layers and layers. And that's what we're going to do, because there are layers and layers and layers to this update. All right, so let's start, shall we, with the fact that my hair is back so that I don't get makeup in my bangs. But we're going to bring that down right away. All right, so the first thing I do is point out that her eyebrows move. She hasn't had Botox in a long time. So I'm using, I guess, a Luminous MAC strobe cream, it's called. I don't normally use this. I just put it on all over. I do like to use a Glotion on my face because I don't like the face to look cakey after a certain age. Do you know what I mean? But it just depends on how much time I have. But I do like a Glotion, especially if my skin feels dry. It does kind of feel dry right now. And when it feels dry, it also looks dry. So I put on this, and I usually put on an SPF, but I don't have my SPF with me at the moment. So I'm going to go straight from my Glotion to what I like to wear for my foundation is Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation Concealer. Don't ask me about the safety of any of these products. Don't ask me about my technique, because I just do this as fast as humanly possible. A lot of my techniques I learned in the 80s, and I've just stuck with them. Now, some of them have been updated, but for the most part, I just do what I've always done, and I just kind of try to update it because I need to based on my age. So right now, I'm just using my fingers. I know people use like special brushes and sponges, etc. And I do have a brush that I use sometimes. In fact, we'll use it right now. It's an IT Cosmetic brush, but I usually just use my fingers. Like, I feel like I put on so much makeup, foundation. Like, I have no makeup on to start. I just put on a little bit of foundation now. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app, you might want to head over to YouTube to see what she looks like with her hair pulled back, full forehead, full 5 head, and my techniques without any makeup on. The only thing I do have on at the moment is a full set of, what are they called? Lashify lashes. All right, so the bangs are going to come down. Oh my God, what happened? Oh, we might have to start this video over. What is going on right now? What is actually going on? I left it up too long because I was setting up my camera. Oh my gosh, I look ridiculous. I look so ridiculous right now. But I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second, about looking ridiculous and then making the most with what you have, with what God gave you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add hair extensions to the side. These are hair extensions I made. Now you're going to say, Chalene, tell us how you make hair extensions. I don't know. I just did. Like, you just get a little clip, and then I bought tape-on hair extensions, and I kind of stacked them so that I would get like a layered look, and then I just cut them. And then I put them in the side of my hair, right, kind of in the front. You know where your like temples are, where everyone kind of, especially ladies, we get like a little thinner. Look at it. It makes it a little fuller around the face, and that's kind of a nice thing when your hair is getting, I don't know, everyone's hair is kind of thinner there. But I was like just born with thin hair, so that just makes it look a little bit more zhuzhed up. I am dying of a heat exhaustion right now because I have this hot robe on. Okay, so then we're going to put this side in. Same spot. I kind of just like go right at my temples, and I look to see if I like the way it looks. There we go. Okay, she's back. She's back. But for a minute there on video, you're going to die laughing if you're not on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about, because I just looked so ridiculous. Now, I'm really liberous with the hairspray because I have cotton candy hair, and people are always like, how do you style your bangs? I have the finest hair ever, so it just does what I tell it to do. I just spray it into submission, as you can see. I'm not even like curling it. I'm just like holding it into a curl, and then it's so fine that I can like hold it, and it just does what I want it to do. Now, here's an extra bonus tip, is I like to use a little bit of usually some kind of hair powder on my part, especially if I am due for a highlight. And so then like my dark roots show up, and then it just makes your hair look thinner. So I use this. Oh, shoot, I just got the robe. I think it's not my robe. I use this. It's basically a brown eyeshadow. It's really all it is. And I just tap it into my part a little bit, and it just kind of, I don't know, gives your hair a little bit of depth. You don't look so thin. And I also sometimes use a powder. I mean, not all the time, but like right now I'm really due for a highlight. All right, so next step is I'm like sweating. It's not a hot flash. I never had even one hot flash. I know the difference between being warm because the room is warm and I'm wearing too heavy of a robe. I'm going to go change because this is literally so hot.
12 seconds later.
All right, so I'm going to put on my makeup and get ready with you and just kind of give you an update of everything that has been going on. I am wearing clothes. This is one of those like Velcro towels. You can't see it if you're just listening, but it's like a waffle towel material. They're amazing, especially if you are someone who like, you know, you get hot wearing like a big heavy towel while you're getting ready. Like these are so amazing. Also, they're amazing if you're someone who's messy like me. When I put on my makeup, I usually get it all over freaking everything. I'm a nightmare. I'm such a mess. And this just helps me to be a little less likely to get stuff on my clothes while I'm getting ready. As you know, we are traveling. We are on vacation, and not on vacation. We are just, I guess, work wanderers. We're working, we're living, and we're traveling. And so I invited people to ask me any questions they wanted to, like about that whole situation. Thanks for hanging out with me, by the way. And it's interesting. A lot of the questions were about travel, but a lot of, you know, just like girly stuff too. It's so funny. I always think that people are going to ask me like really profound questions about business or marriage. And they're always like, can you tell us the name of that tanning lotion you used again? I'm like, I can't blame you. I'm equally as shallow. So this palette that I'm using right now for my cheeks, okay, you can tell how long I've had it. It looks like I've had it since middle school. Whoever made this, which I think it's Anastasia, it's a contour kit. The contour kit by Anastasia. I've had it for so many years, and as you can see, none of the colors are even getting low. So whoever was in charge of manufacturing this made a great decision for the consumer and probably a poor decision for the brand, because you never have to buy another one. And if you never have to buy another one, then that brand isn't making money. And I literally have had this for more than 10 or 12 years. I know what you're saying. Well, isn't that probably expired and really bad for your skin? Don't care. Afraid that I won't have this someday. So, living in a hotel room. Listen, I know I have to say this to begin with, like, we're privileged. And that privilege comes from hard work. You know, a privilege is something you earn, right? And sometimes a privilege is something that you're given. I think this is a little bit of both. This is a lot of something we've earned because we worked really, really hard to be able to travel the world and also work. And to do both those things simultaneously took a lot of planning and a lot of prep. And it's things we've talked about in other podcasts, so I won't go into it. I just need to say that in case for some reason this is like the first time you've ever watched one of my videos. And hi, nice to meet you. Please introduce yourself below. And so I know that, and I know we're really lucky. And it's an amazing thing. But it definitely comes with some, like, there's a downside to it too. And I don't think enough people talk about that. I don't know how these makeup artists that do these videos, how they set up their mirrors, but I'm just going to set mine up on my laptop while I'm filming, okay? And so I can't talk and line my lips at the same time. And this is so dry because I lost the cap. It's Huda Beauty, and it's pinky brown. So I tend to line a little under and over my lips because they're really quite small. I have had lip filler in the past, but it's been such a long time. And I loved it. I forget, if you go to the right person, Don't even waste your time telling me like, oh, that's so bad for you. What about lip or filler migration, etc. I know. I like it. Especially if we don't overdo it. So I use just a little bit in my lips. Obviously, it's been a very, very long time. I slightly overline them. And then we'll use, this is the Lisa Rinna lip kit. I think it's called Delilah. It's half of her kit. It's actually just her lipstick because I'm missing the liner. I probably lost that. And I don't even know who makes this lip gloss called Cab. I've never even heard of it before. It's called Sugar and Spice is the color, K-A-B. And that's really yummy. I mean, it's really good. So some of the downsides of living or traveling and working, because there are some, right? So first of all, it is very much like we are living in a studio apartment. So imagine what it would be like to be married to someone for 28 years and then you suddenly move into a studio apartment. Now, granted, it's in a beautiful, beautiful location, so I ain't complaining. And the rooms are really, really nice, but it's a lot. And you get into these routines when you're at home where you can kind of get away. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know about you, but I need some alone time. And right now, I think I'm getting some. But when you're in a hotel, like that person can like just come back in at any time. Whereas when you're at home, you can you can hide in your car in the parking lot, pretending like you're grocery shopping when you're really just sitting in your car looking at TikToks. And you can say that you're running errands and you're really just getting away for a minute. Do you know what I'm saying? There's that. Your routine is definitely off because you're in a hotel room. So you sleep a little differently. Some of your habits, you don't have things stored the same way. There's no kitchen. Sometimes we do Airbnbs. We found that to be a little tricky for us internationally. So maybe at some point we'll figure that out. But at the moment, we just haven't. And so, your routine is off. You're staying in a hotel room. There isn't the same kind of storage. There isn't the same kind of like food. You just can't even eat the same kind of food. And so if you're not eating the same kind of food, even though I would say that while we're in Europe, we've eaten healthier than we ever possibly could imagine, but it's still a little different because you have to pretty much eat out for every meal. I mean, you can eat some meals in the hotel, but even sometimes those, it's like the same thing every single day. I can't. And also, we tend to wake up so much later here than what we do when we're at home. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what it is. We just have never quite gotten back on the same sleep schedule as we have when we were in California or when we're in New York or wherever it is we're staying in the States, Miami. And because of that, I'm not even looking at my sleep score. I do wear an Oura ring to track it, but I'm not even looking at it. For the same reason I don't look at the scale, I don't look at the scale, period. But even when I was someone who would occasionally look at the scale, I never was one of those people who looked at the scale when they knew they were up or they had a bad day the day before. I don't understand why some people torture themselves in that way. My husband does that. The other night we went out and he was saying like the whole day that he was like, I'm so fat, like, going on and on. And then we went out to dinner. He had a huge dinner and we had champagne. And he came back and he's like, I'm going to go weigh myself. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? I don't understand. Like, so you can go to bed in a bad mood. Like, it's going to be several pounds heavier than what you were last time. And it won't necessarily be accurate because you're weighing food and beverage. You're weighing things that are going to pass through you. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is a little touch and go with the whole food situation and our sleep. So I have not looked at my sleep score. I think I probably looked at my sleep score 2 days out of the last, 30 days, 40 days maybe, because I don't want to know. I feel great. And if I, need to take a nap during the day, then I will. But I feel great. So why look at it, if you know what I'm saying? Workouts have not been a problem. I mean, I've missed days because I scheduled rest days, but I haven't needed to skip a workout because of location or because we couldn't find a place. And we love going to, especially countries. I mean, it's really cool to do it in different cities too. I mean, I loved going to rural cities and asking like, where's the local gym? Like the gym that, you know what I mean? Like the muscleheads work out at. Like I love going to those gyms. I loved going to those in Mykonos. I loved going to those here. So we found this gym in France called Fitness Park and it is awesome. And they've got lots of different locations. And just like say a 24-hour fitness in the United States, every single gym has a different personality. That the same is true here of this particular chain. And we've noticed that like each location that we go to kind of has like a different vibe, different equipment, different personality of the people that work out there. And it's just cool. I love seeing like, what do the people wear at the gym? How do they act? Are there more men versus women? What do they do for their workouts? Like, are people like as glute focused, let's say, in France as they are in Miami? Do you know what I mean? And I will say, so far here in Nice, holy cow, people, they're just fit. Like, people here are fit. And I think people in Europe in general tend to be healthier because obviously the food, the ingredients, toxins, there's much more stringent about everything. Like, the things that are not allowed in Europe because they're considered carcinogenic, they're considered cancers and poisons and toxins, are all up in our stuff in the United States. And so people, I just think for that reason, are healthier. They look healthier. They don't look as inflamed. And these people all smoke and drink like crazy. I mean, it's weird. People are like drinking in the middle of the day at lunch, and they just have like, maybe they just have one Aperol spritz. I don't know. I just feel like in the United States, when people drink, it's like they go out to drink versus like having a glass of wine. Do you know what I'm saying? So the routine is off, but workouts are good. However, because even though we're eating healthy, we're not in a routine. So whereas at home, I don't know if this is true for you, but I tend to eat a lot of the same things. Not because of, I'm a freak or anything. It's just, I'm a creature of habit. That's what I'm craving. That's what I have. I crave greens all the time. And because we're eating out at restaurants, there's not a lot of like big salad options. There's lots of healthy fish and pastas and, again, really healthy food. But when you order a salad, it's like an antipasta salad, or it's tomatoes and olives and it's a Mediterranean salad. I like a big green salad, you know what I mean? Where I have to like get up on top of it and chop it all up. And I love all that fiber, and I'm just not getting that. So the digestion's a little off, if you know what I'm saying. And when your digestion's off, you just feel a little off. But back to the fact that we are together in, sometimes a 300 square foot room. So imagine that you are with your husband for 28 years and you live in several thousand square feet, sometimes 5,000, 3,000, 10,000. I don't know how big your house is, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can get away. And we're in 300 to 500 square feet most of the time. Sometimes we get a bigger suite if we're lucky, but like for the last couple of days, we were trying to get back into this room, which is a bigger room. It's got a bedroom and then like a little like couch in the other area, but it's still like a 1-bedroom apartment or smaller. And that's just really hard because there's no escaping, number one. And listen, one of the things we love about being in Europe is doing dinner and really like dating each other like almost every day, going on a date. But it's not the same if he can see the process. Part of what makes going out, I think, special and unique is the mystery. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I don't need him to know about the magic and the construction and the effort that goes into looking so effortlessly beautiful. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's tricks, there's boob tape and highlighting, and there's bobby pins and hair powder, there's pinning and taping and strapping, there are clip-in hair extensions, there's hair from other people, there's highlighting and body painting and shoe pads and Band-Aids, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot. If you ever watch one of those home makeover shows where they come in and they just, and the family leaves and it's just like a dump. And then the family comes back and they're like, how did you do that? And you as a viewer, you're going like, how did they do that? That's me. That is me. Like, I am a one woman. Do you remember the show, The Swan? Every day I am an episode of The Swan. Listen, I'm very good at it. I know how to make the most of what I've been given. I know how to zhuzh it up, and I know all the tricks, and I like doing it. So for someone who's like, oh, I get these messages all the time. Like, I got one today. Someone's like, would it kill you to be seen without makeup? I'm like, bitch, I didn't have makeup on at the beginning of this video if you're watching on YouTube. So I guess it is okay. But I have fun doing it. So simmer down. And not only do I have fun doing it, I like the way I look with makeup. I like doing the most with the least. I like the mirage. It's like when they give a sculptor a lump of clay and he just starts molding and shaping. Or you see this guy with a chainsaw and a piece of wood and suddenly he like carves this masterpiece. I am that guy with the chainsaw, but there's no ta-da. So he's watching me do the carving and the taping and the pinning. So then there's no ta-da. There's no moment. There's no like, so what do you think? Because he like watched it all come together. It's kind of like being backstage at Siegfried and Roy. Like, you know how all the tricks were done. Doesn't it lose its mystique? I hope not. So a lot of times I like for him to like, I don't know, go have a pregame or something so that I can at least surprise you with like, ta-da. It's like the ultimate bait and switch. Right now, I just am not having that opportunity. So I will say that that's one thing that I don't love about the traveling. Oh, the kids came in. So our kids came in yesterday in Denise. We flew them here. It was amazing. They had a little trouble getting here. Both of them had like flights canceled. And I think Sierra's travel day ended up being like 24 hours and Brock and Taylor's ended up being just short of that. So Taylor and Brock and Roman and Sierra are here, and we're just having the best time. Like tomorrow, we're going to go out on a boat, and we're taking them to La Guerite, which you probably already, definitely if you're on Patreon, you heard the story about what happened when we went to La Guerite. And so we're going to take them there. Tonight, we're going to take them into Cannes because Taylor and Brock have never been there. Last night, we just like walked around Old Town Nice. It was amazing. Today, we all worked out together as a family. That was phenomenal. We're also going to take a surprise trip to Monaco, which is another country. Sounds so crazy. And then, so they're staying here for, I think it's like 6 days is what it ends up being. And it's just amazing when your adult kids actually want to hang out with you. And they're super cool. And they get along. Blessed. Beyond blessed to be in this season. By the way, my lashes, I don't think I mentioned it, or maybe I did. They are Lashify, and they're hanging on by a thread. I mean, I don't know if you can tell if you're watching on the video, but like they definitely are hanging on by a thread. Like I could just lightly tap it and they would just fall off, but I don't have time to redo them. And I keep them on for, I don't know, like I'd say probably, what am I doing right now? I'm using a waterproof eyeliner by Fenty Beauty. And I'm like blackening up the lashes because I put my eyeshadow on. And then when you do that, your lashes can get kind of powdery and that's not cute. So I'm just kind of blackening them up a little bit so they don't look so crusty. But yeah, they will last, for me anyways, anywheres from 7 to 10 days, which is kind of crazy. I just clean them with, what is that water? It's just water, but there's a special name for it. I can't remember. Anyways, the kids and we all went to work out today. And I'm on this, it's like a Smith machine kind of, but I don't know how to describe it. But they had one in Miami where you could turn towards the machine and do these squats. And it was like intense glute stimulation, like gluteus maximus to the max. Loved it. And so they had a similar machine here, but it didn't look like it was designed for you to like turn and face it. But I was like, but why couldn't you? So I was like, I think I could do that. And so I was already warmed up. I already done quite a few legs. And I got in there in the reverse way. And I went to like, come up from a squat. But little did I know, the machine had already been loaded with weights. And I felt a pop in my right. So I'm currently sitting on ice cubes. It's not an avulsion. An avulsion is where you tear the muscle off the bone or tear the tendon off the bone. The most painful thing I've ever done in my life. And it happened to me in, I think, 2018, like just before I had to do this huge appearance for Beachbody at their summit with like, tens and tens of thousands of coaches. It happened 5 weeks before that. And I mean, I know you have probably heard this story, but if you haven't, and for some reason, anyone who's had a hamstring avulsion, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to have it operated on. And mine was a very substantial tear. I mean, it was pretty far off the bone. And that muscle sure did reattach itself. And I've got the MRIs to prove it. I got the MRIs to show it off the bone and then slowly reattaching. And that was on the left side. Today, I felt that pop on my right side. I'm going to be fine. I can walk. When this happened and I had an avulsion, when you've had an avulsion, you feel like someone has shot your leg off. You literally feel like, did someone just chop my leg off? I feel not like you can't move it, nothing. And it was perhaps the most painful thing I had ever experienced. This was kind of painful. And I was a good girl because I could walk. And it was like a 25-minute walk to the gym that we went to today. And I was like, I could probably walk home. And Brett's like, should you? I'm like, no, I shouldn't, actually. You're right. I should not. I should just get an Uber and sit on a a bag of ice. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now as I'm here speaking to you now. And it's going to be fine. I will say the other thing that is not easy to deal with right now while we're traveling. I feel like I am forever missing my brow pencil. It's like somebody steals it. It's like whenever something's missing, my first go-to is someone stole it. Like there's a burglar running around the south of France who's breaking into people's hotel rooms and just stealing brow pencils. Just that, like not the jewelry, not the expensive clothing, the purses, the bags. No, brow pencils. Specifically brow pencils that you got from Maybelline. This is a Maybelline brow pencil. My daughter is starting a beauty line, a brow beauty line. I said to her, hey, you brought me some Boyish Beauty, the new samples, right? Because they haven't launched yet. And she goes, no. I'm like, why? She goes, because I kind of need to use them. I'm like, they only send you one? That's so weird. Don't you think that's weird? Like her manufacturer only sent her one sample of each of the colors. I'm like, that's just really weird. Like, I mean, that doesn't make sense. Ask for more. But I can't really give her advice because she hasn't asked for it, you know? And I already did a whole video about that. Like, don't give people advice unless I ask for it. Your kids anyways. So I always fluff up my brows because everyone in my family has amazing brows. When we go out, people literally stop my family and they're like, not me. They usually see Sierra or Brock or Brett and they're like, wow, you guys have amazing brows. And I'm like, hi, over here, like spending an hour penciling mine in. I did have them microbladed, but it's been so long that, you know, that eventually fades. And like I said, I need Botox and I need microblading because my personality is real. What's on the inside, what matters the most is all real. But the outside is a mirage and I am not afraid to tell you about it. Oh, the other thing, if I may, if we can just keep this between the two of us, that isn't going great while we're traveling is I have time blindness. Like right now, I just looked up on the screen to see how long I've been talking to you. I thought maybe I've been chatting for like 7 minutes. That was my guess. No, it's been over 20. I didn't know. I don't know that. I cannot estimate time. When I say, it'll just be a few minutes, I think that. I'm not lying. I really think it'll just be a few minutes. But I don't have the ability. I don't. And this is a real legitimate thing to be able to estimate the passage of time. And it's been studied by neuroscientists. It's not something we're making up. And not everyone with ADHD has this. And some people who don't have ADHD have time blindness. It's just the way the brain develops. I can't estimate time. Because of that, I was late almost all of my life. I mean, all of my life I was late until I pretty much met my husband. And even then I was still late until he was like, this really, really upsets me. I really, really don't like it. And I was like, and then he told me how I made him feel. And I was like, I have to do something to fix this. Like, I can't change me, but there must be a way for me to cope. It's like if someone were blind, then they're not expecting themselves to be able to see, but they do know the world isn't changing for me. I got to figure out how to live in the world. And that's how I feel about being time blind, right? So I've developed all these different systems that allow me to be on time. And one of them is I have an assistant who you're just going to think this is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard unless you get it. If you don't get it, if you're one of those people who is so annoyed by people who are late, who says things like, just show up on time. It's so inconsiderate. You just don't care about other people's time. Like, that's like saying, just be able to see. Just open up your eyes and see. That's like, literally, it's the same thing to saying that to someone who has time blindness. Not the exact same. I mean, I don't mean to compare them but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something I want to do it. It doesn't work. And so, you know, I've set up the systems. And so I have an assistant who basically her job is to make sure I'm on time. And we have a system that works for us. So like one of the things she does is she schedules things on a master calendar where she knows what time the thing really is, but I don't. So it's on my calendar. Let's say it says the meeting starts at noon. And so that way, even if I'm ready late and I'm ready by like 12:10, let's say, then usually she will then text me at like 12 and she'll say, are you ready? Are you ready? And I'll be like, I'm running a few minutes late. She's like, okay. And then the second I say I'm ready, she's like, okay, you've got 7 minutes. And she changes the the cadence so that I can't figure it out. Like, if it were always a half an hour, I would know. Or if it was always 15 minutes, I would know. So that's not predictable. And that has allowed me to be on time. And in addition to that, even better than that, even more important, even more useful than that is the fact that she sends me constant reminders. So I would say the majority of the time I'm on time for the time that she scheduled me for. Like, so if she says it's at noon, I'm usually ready at noon. But the reason why I'm ready at noon is because she starts giving me reminders, and those reminders become interruptions. And I know what you're thinking. Why wouldn't you just look at the clock? Why wouldn't you just set your own reminders? I know. I'm just saying the system works for me. And I've tried all those things, and I'm sure you've got somebody in your life who has also tried all those things, and eventually they don't work. And then you feel like a jerk, and people make you feel horrible about yourself if you can't show up on time. And so I've found a way to be able to do it. And it really, really does work for me. It's the reminders, right? It's like knowing, okay, you've got 10 minutes. What that does is it brings me back to the present. I understand the present. I don't understand the future. And that's how time blindness works. We have a really hard time. Everything is now. So if you tell me like right now, I have 10 minutes, it's like, okay, well then I know what time it is now, but I don't have a great way of estimating another 10 minutes. And the longer the amount of time, the harder it becomes. So, if you tell me I have 5 minutes, I'm probably going to be a little closer than if you told me I have an hour and I had to estimate both those things. All that to say, because she is in California and we are on a completely different time zone, I don't have that. And Brett, he's like, I'm not playing that game. I'm like, it's not a game. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying. Like, I literally am. It's frustrating because it's really frustrating to him, and he doesn't know how bad it makes me feel, and I hate it. If you're someone who has this, you know what I'm talking about right now. You hate the feeling so much that you're holding other people up. You hate the feeling that you have misestimated your time. You hate feeling rushed. It makes you feel confused. It makes you feel overwhelmed. It makes you feel like a lousy human. It makes you feel like a bad adult. It makes you feel like a jerk. And so why would anyone intentionally want to feel that way? No one does. And just like no one gets that except for people who get that. And everybody, like there's going to be people in the comments under this video who are like, you just need to be disciplined. And they'll just shame you. And every time I talk about this, I get the most shamingly mean comments from people who don't get it. And I don't care because I can't change it, but I have systems in place that make it work for other people. I don't know how to have those systems in place right now while we're traveling. And I've asked him and he's just like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, all right. So it's just hard. It's hard. And it has been a source of friction between us. Yeah. And I think that's important for you to know too, because sometimes you see us on video or like you saw it and it's like, oh, they never fight. They get along so well, blah, blah, blah. That's so annoying. But you know what? We've been together for a really long time, like 100 years. And we don't really fight, but we do have our issues. And that is a big one. And I don't like it. And I got to figure out a way. And I know you guys are going to give me suggestions like put a self-timer on your phone, those things. I know. Yeah, I guess. I have to figure out something because I don't like the way it feels. I don't like what it does between the two of us. And I hate the feeling of being rushed and overwhelmed and holding other people up. And when you are that person, you have just a laundry list of things that you say and text because you know you're about to be late. So let's end this on a funny note, shall we? You've probably said or texted one of these or all of these if you're somebody who routinely runs late. 2 minutes. Like we're always saying, I'm 2 minutes away. I'm almost there. Traffic is super heavy. Grabbing lipstick, I'll be right down. I'm pulling up right now. Meanwhile, you're still on the freeway. Looking for parking. Meanwhile, you haven't even gotten your car. Oh, dog had an accident. Sorry, be right there. Family emergency. Sorry, had to take a call. Oh man, we're not even moving. There must be an accident. Can't find my keys. Be there ASAP. That one's like 90% of the time. That one's true. Actually, all of these, so the way that I tell this white lie is all of these are true. Were true at some point. At some point, my dog did get sick and I had to clean up. At some point, I was grabbing my lipstick and was coming right down. And the reason why we tell these white lies is because we don't want people to think less of us. And I know what you're thinking. Well, then just freaking show up on time. yeah, thanks. You already told us that. That was super helpful. Like, we want to be there on time. We want to be that person. I promise you we do. And so does your kid. So help them find a system so that they don't feel bad about the way that their brain works. It really is about the way your brain works. I know you guys have heard that before. I really do appreciate you spending this time with me and allowing me to give you an update and getting ready with me. I showed you how I made the hair extensions. I put on the makeup. Am I going to put on more makeup? I think we're good. If you have any questions about what I used, drop that in the comments below. I am not an expert. I put my makeup on the exact same way every day. People are like, why didn't you do more makeup tutorials? I'm like, I'm a one-trick pony. I know I'm really good at hairspray because I grew up in the 80s. And everything I learned about makeup, I probably watched either on, I learned obviously in the 80s, and then you just kind of update it by watching maybe some TikTok videos and going, oh, I think I'll try that. But like I said, a lot of it is just like knowing what you like. Some of you are all natural. God bless you. And you don't wear a stitch of makeup and you look gorgeous and you don't like makeup. You shouldn't wear makeup. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to continue to wear it. And I am going to continue to do these get ready with me. So let me know below under this video if you like this style of video where I'm chatting with you and also getting ready, what type of content you'd like to see next. And as always, I love you. I mean it. And I'll talk to you soon.